Welcome back to Hardware Unboxed. As I'm sure many of you are aware now, AMD released their second generation Threadripper series earlier this month when they unleashed the 32-core 2990WX and the 6-core 2950X. I particularly liked the 2950X. Very nice CPU, that one. But anyway, in 2 months, they will be releasing the 12 and 24 core versions. But before they do, they've decided to slash prices of the first gen parts, and the 1920X in particular is very affordable now, at least for a high-end desktop part. But before I get into it, I just want to share a quick message from a new Hardware Unboxed sponsor, CableMod. CableMod makes premium sleeve power supply cables to spice up your PC build and ensure that you have the perfect mix of colours. For our Aussie viewers, there's currently a huge CableMod sale happening right now at PC Case Gear, where you can get stuff like these Hardware Unboxed style light blue mod mesh cables for just $89. Down from $149. There are plenty of other deals to be had as well, so check out the link in the video description. Okay, so back to the non-sponsored deal, and I would just like to make it very, very clear that AMD hasn't asked us or hinted in any way that we should do this content, and definitely no money has exchanged hands. We do not take money from AMD. Very much off the table, that one. I would have covered this earlier, but I just didn't catch wind of it early enough. Pretty much was really held up with that RTX stuff, so yeah, forgive me. Anyway, earlier this month, AMD did quietly reduce the SEP, which is short for suggested e-retailer price, and they reduced that down from the launch price of $800 US right down to $400 US. So yeah, I'm pretty shocked you can buy this 12-core 24-thread CPU for just $400 US, and those prices are now in effect, so that's, yeah, half the original retail price. Just to be clear, this is a new official suggested price from AMD, so we should see retailers around the world dropping prices over the next few days, if they haven't already. Local retailer PC Case Gear, which has those sexy looking CableMod sleeve cables on sale right now, dropped their price on the 15th of August. But with all the craziness around the Nvidia GeForce 20 series announcement, I'm only covering the price drop now. Prior to July 21st, the 1920X cost $1,060 Aussie. That price was dropped to $960 Aussie on August 13th, and then a few days later to just $600 Aussie. That's an incredible deal for Australian viewers. Be aware though, it's not really clear if this sale will continue while stock remains or if AMD will revert back to previous pricing. The information I have right now suggests that the sale will run till the end of the month, so for at least a few more days yet. That said, AMD might continue to offer retailers rebates so they can maintain the sale price, at least until stock runs out. Anyway, $400 US for a 12-core, 24-thread high-end desktop processor is an incredible buy. To help put this into perspective, you can expect to pay roughly the same amount for Intel's Core i7-7800X, which is a 6-core processor, so it has half as many cores on offer. Meanwhile, Intel's 10-core 7900X still costs $1,000 US, so at least when compared to the Intel high-end desktop offerings, the 1920X is an insane bargain. That said, even at the new low price, we're still paying a decent premium over more mainstream parts such as the 2700X. Granted, the 1920X only costs 20% more at the new price and packs 50% more cores, but motherboard prices do inflate the platform cost quite considerably. For example, the 2700X with a quality B450 motherboard such as the MSI Tomahawk will set you back $430 US. Meanwhile, the 1920X with the cheapest X399 board available right now will cost you $700 US, so a little over 60% more expensive. Factoring in memory doesn't really help too much as you still need a minimum of 4 sticks for the X399 platform, but that can also be viewed as a bonus as well, and I'll discuss that towards the end of the video, once we've gone over all the performance numbers. Speaking of which, let's jump right into the benchmarks to work out who this affordable 12-core processor is for. All testing was conducted on the MSI Meg X399 Creation using 32GB of stock G.Skill FlareX DDR4 3200 memory. That said, the performance that you're about to see will be achievable on any and all X399 motherboards, and for the 1920X we recommend a budget board from either MSI, ASRock or ASUS. Okay, let's jump into the results. As I said, I'm just going to breeze through all the testing. As you can see, for rendering tasks, you're looking at around a 40% performance uplift with the 1920X over the 2700X, and an incredible 90% boost over Intel's similarly priced 7800X. Moving on, this time we see when testing with Blender a 35% performance boost from the 2700X and an 80% improvement from the 7800X. Then the last rendering test we're going to look at is Povray, and here we see a massive 46% performance boost for the 1920X over the 2700X, and then it decimated the 7800X by an incredible 78% margin. So for those of you that do quite a bit of rendering, it's pretty clear that the 1920X is an extreme bargain. Still, even for general use, the 1920X still gets it done, and here it delivered the best result in the PC Mark 10 Modern Office benchmark, beating the 7800X by a 20% margin. For budding content creators, the 1920X is again a great value option at the new $400 US price point. For encoding work, it was just 9% faster than the 2700X, but it was 43% faster than the 7800X. Even for heavy editing tasks, the 1920X does well. Here it was 19% faster than the 2700X and 27% faster than the 7800X. Then when it comes to gaming, the 1920X is no slouch either, beating both the 2700X and 7800X in the core-heavy Ashes of the Singularity benchmark. Of course, performance won't be as amazing in all games, but if this is a sign of future gaming, then the 1920X should be a very solid gamer for many years to come. Even under less optimal conditions, like what we see here with Star Wars Battlefront 2, the 1920X still does very well, as it pushes well over 100 FPS at all times. Another example is F1 2017. Again, not earth-shattering performance when compared to the competition, but still overall impressive stuff, it has to be said, and 144Hz gamers will certainly be satisfied. Here's another CPU-demanding title with Assassin's Creed Origins, and we see the 1920X does very well, edging out the 700X and 2700X by a slim margin. Another big advantage of the X399 platform and the quad-channel memory controller of the 1920X is of course big memory bandwidth. Oh, and of course big memory capacity. Another strength is power consumption. With the 1920X, you can get away with a quality 650 watt power supply, let's say, and still be able to pair it with a high-end graphics card. Okay, so there's the quick performance refresh out of the way. Now it's time to analyze the deal. Kind of goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. If you can't fully utilize a 12-core CPU, and 8 cores or perhaps less, maybe even 6 cores, will easily see you get by, then this deal really isn't for you. Just get a 2700X or perhaps even a 2600X, especially if you're just gaming. However, if you need as many cores as you can possibly afford, and 700-ish US dollars is about all you have for a CPU and motherboard combo, then you simply can't do better than this deal. I suppose on average you could say that the 1920X and Core i9 7900X are comparable. If you overclock the Intel CPU, it might win out by a small margin. That is assuming you have a constant supply of dry ice. Anyway, it is a pointless comparison because the 7900X plus a basic motherboard, the cheapest X299 board you can find, that combo comes to about $1,250 US. So that's almost 80% more. So, assuming your workload can utilize all 12 cores, and you need to see it finished as soon as possible, then what the heck are you waiting for? I'd be snapping up a 1920X for $400 US or whatever it translates into your currency with an affordable X399 motherboard as soon as possible. There's no point waiting 6 to 8 weeks for the 2920X to land at $650 US. That's the MSRP, and realistically, it's only going to be a few percent better in terms of performance. Also worth noting, while you are paying 2 to 3 times more for an X399 board over an X470 or B450 board, you do get considerably more motherboard for your money. Remember, X399 boards support huge amounts of DDR4 memory with their 8 DIMM slots. You also get a staggering amount of PCI Express lanes and loads of other features like more USB 3 ports than you can shake a stick at. And that is going to do it for this one. Again, thank you to Cable Mods for supporting this video or sponsoring this video. Again, AMD didn't sponsor this video. Hope that's been made clear. And if you enjoyed this video, then feel free to hit the like button, subscribe for more content. If you appreciate the work we do at Unboxed, then perhaps consider supporting us on Patreon. There's some pretty sweet perks with that deal. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm your host, Steve, and I will see you again next time. You thought I wasn't going to do it, didn't you? Didn't you? Yeah, you did.